Welcome to Network Today. I'm Sheryl Powers.
I'm Rob Bliss.
And we are here to take you from meeting people to
making money.
That's right. So it's a long game, people. This week feels like a very long game. I'm up for shortening the game this week. So that's what we're here to help you do.
And we need to do that. And today we got a great topic. We're talking about the elevator pitch, and that is kind of shortening that if we're well prepared. So take it away here, Sheryl.
That's right, because we've all got a pitch. A pitch in our brain. We've got a pitch in our brain. We've thought about it. We've thought about our services. We thought about why people need them. But to cohesively bring it all together and boil it down to a little bouillon cube, right?
And I'm going to add something here too. I'm going to make a note. We always refer to it as the elevator pitch, but I've just got a new book that's featured in Rob's library, and it's called The New Elevator Pitch, because again, the original pitch was 20, 30 years ago when we were out there hustling and trying to, close you on the spot and all. Well, we can't do that anymore. So we've got to change our mindset. And we got to talk about the new elevator pitch, which I still don't like the name of that. And we'll get into that later. We'll get into that later. But it's all about now is talking about who we're bringing value to.
Right. So first, let's talk about what an elevator pitch is.
Okay.
And I know your question is, what is an elevator pitch? Is it born out of your getting on an elevator?
Right.
With somebody who might be a prospect, or maybe they're a suspect at this point. You want to determine if they're a prospect. Right. And so then by the time you go from this floor to this floor, hopefully it's a really tall building. So is that where the elevator pitch is born?
That's exactly where it was born. And here's a new catch. I was doing some research this week. In New York City, they have the 120 elevator pitch because the floors in New York City are a lot taller than other cities.
Good Lord, I hope
so you go from the 30-second pitch in the small town to the 120-second pitch in New York City.
Or it could be the 3-hour pitch if you're in Rob Bliss's building. Because you're stuck on the elevator again.
Oh my God, yes.
So, but yeah, so being interesting and being informative and engaging in whatever time frame that is, but also being more interested in that person who you're talking to so that they're more engaged. I mean, it's an art.
Oh, absolutely.
And our guest really talks about that a lot today.
Oh, yeah. Our guest, really excited to have him on because he's a phenomenal speaker.
Right.
And, I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
Right. And we're going to get to that because it's super good. But I want to tell you about an article that I was reading in Inc. magazine. So this is by Chris O'Leary, and I didn't get the date on the magazine article, so if you need that, let me know. It is called The Elevator Pitch Essentials, and he really talks about the 7 things that we do wrong. So grab your pens, kids, and let's write these down. So the first thing is the elevator pitch goes wrong when we're not focused. And I totally get that because you're in a networking meeting, you stand up, you get your 10, 15, 30 seconds, whatever that is. Oh, good Lord, if it's 60, kill me.
Right.
So that is it's so easy to get rattled because we're, to your point, not prepared. So being unfocused and not zeroing in on the topic that you want to hammer home, being too salesy.
Right.
We're there to sell through, not to.
Right.
Narcissistic. I think that just says what it is. So being overweight, this is really referring to brevity being the art.
Okay.
Right. So it doesn't need to be 280, doesn't need to be too much. It really just needs to be clean and lightweight. So inflexible, lecture-y, like you're kind of like hammering it home and telling everybody why they need to hear you. And the last here is overcomplicated. And I think this is one of the things our guest did best, was really breaking it down and making it less complicated and easy to digest, right? Not just this big heavy meal that we're inhaling with one bite, but making it a really great tasty morsel.
And this is so important, Sheryl, because we've got this. When we're giving our elevator pitch at a networking group, whatever, we have an opportunity to tell our audience, what we can show them, what value we're bringing to them, how we can increase our business, which is, again, what we're talking about here is, how to make money. And we've got to be prepared. We've got to make the most of this opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got 40, 50 people in the audience, and we don't want to just wing it. So we really do have to sit down and prepare.
Yeah. Yeah. Being prepared. And for me, I'm an offender.
Mm-hmm.
Totally an offender that I get in there and I'm not prepared. Right. And it's very obvious as who's prepared and who's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that, we have a lot to talk about. We have an
Okay.
awesome guest. And coming up, we're going to talk about our Grand Slams
Yes.
of the week. And one of mine actually is born out of being a part of a networking group, and we forged a relationship because I really love his elevator pitch.
Oh,
Right? He's really
cool.
got a great way that he presents himself, and now we forged a relationship, and it's part of my story. So I can't wait to talk about it.
All right.
Next.
Are you having trouble with your VoIP phone system? Smart Office USA to the rescue. We're a local company here in DFW with real people, certified technicians, and we even come to your office to help you. Smart Office USA, representing the #1 VoIP phone system on the planet. And we are right here in DFW, ready to help you. Call us 214-272-0921 or go to www.smartofficeusa.com.
And we're back. Talk about our success of the week, which we call a Grand Slam.
Boom.
Yes. So this is episode 16 on elevator pitches. I love this guy's elevator pitch. That's part of my Grand Slam story today. But I want you to go first. I want to hear yours because you didn't even give me a teaser.
Well, I don't have an elevator pitch story with my success story, but this is I like my story because it was I was at Business Pros, which is one of our favorite networking groups during the month, and again I'm there and I'm working the room, which we've talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, we're learning a lot of stuff here.
That's right.
Sheryl.
We're integrating all of the topics into our networking.
That is kind of cool.
That's right.
But I met a guy for the first time, Sean Rosensteel, and he is a EOS implementer,
Mm-hmm.
and just moved to Dallas maybe like a year ago with his family. Just a great, interesting story. He had a business up in Chicago, wasn't doing well, hired an EOS guy, brought it around, made it successful, sold it, then didn't know what to do, became a business coach. And what the really neat thing was, we started talking about books, Rob's library. He goes out to his car, brings back his book, The School of Intentional Living, which, by the way, is a phenomenal book, and I'm going to highly recommend it and talk about it later. But again, the neat thing about this is that this is probably a couple of months ago, and in this short period of time, we've really connected so well. We've passed leads on to each other. We've had a couple of one-on-ones. It really is kind of neat how networking, where you get introduced to new people that can turn into friends and business associates. So really, that's what I love about networking. Is the fact that you're exposed to these new connections.
That's right. And Sean comes highly recommended from many people, and I haven't had a chance to meet him. So,
Whoa.
Yeah, got to do that. He's on
Got
my
to do
list.
that. Well, man, I'm excited, but you kind of, before the show, we're talking about your little Grand Slam here, so I want to hear all about it.
Yes, because this is why you network, right? So this is all about Jack Carney, who we've had on our show, right? So he's with Duma Partners. And Brian Flanagan had brought him to a networking event, probably mid-market professionals, I would
Right.
imagine, Dallas last summer. And Jack had said, hey, I really love the format. Can I start mid-market West, which would be the Denton County version? So absolutely. So don't really know him, but I just love his posture. And it was born out of his great elevator pitch or his 10-second intro or whatever that is, but
Right.
he's prepared, he's succinct,
Mhm.
and that then parlays into our partnership, right? He's always prepared, he's always succinct, and then we've had a couple of one-on-ones, we hang together as couples, but then he says, hey, Sheryl, I want to sit down and talk about how you can help me and then help me with my clients, right? So then we parlay from a networking friend, right, to a networking business partner, so to speak, to now working on a business partnership that's more than just one person. It could be 40 or 50 people, right? So, but that's part of the trust that we build by working together and trying to operate in excellence at all time.
Well, and what I like about it too is, again, it wasn't like an overnight success.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't something that you didn't quit. You followed up because you saw the potential of the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So it's beautiful. And in this case, it was about a year. So that was the timeline, which is probably shorter, I'd say, than a lot of them are, which could be years and years.
Right.
But it wasn't overnight, to your point. So that was just really, that's always exciting to me, because what that says is networking works. When you follow up, you build that trust, and then you follow up again.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Jack's a great guy.
Yeah, he is. So that was the Grand Slam. And when we come back, we're going to talk to this. Well, just hang on, because he's his own person. He's just he's different, but he's brilliant and an amazing speaker, and just nobody knows the elevator pitch greater than
Can't wait to have him.
That's right, greater than this gentleman. So, all right, be right back. Let's face it, employees waste time on the company dime. Why? Life's complicated. We help keep the junk of life out of the workplace and in the hands of the experts. Empowered Advantage, empowering employees, giving businesses the advantage. Letter M as in magnificent, poweredadvantage.com. Well, I am so super excited about today's guest, and I have no idea
who is it?
When this all came together, the culmination of all the planets happened at the same time, but Jeff McKissack is in the house. Yay! So
the coolest dude around with his, man, he wears a different hat like every week I see the guy.
That's right. And he's on the road all the time. So that's why it's such a pleasure to be able to have you here today.
Yeah, Willie Nelson said tell you hi.
And one of the few people that I might have known longer than Rob has known you, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? So Jeff McKissack, if you don't know, is founder of Defense by Design, among many, many other things, including...
I wear many hats.
That's right, including... So, yeah, this is going to be a long 5 minutes. So, including a group called NetWeavers, which we have actually discussed on prior episodes, because that's how the whole networking for me thing started, was because of what you founded. Like, that's what networking's all about. So because of this, because he's an avid professional networker, that's right. We wanted you to talk about the elevator pitch.
Well, you know, it has its ups and downs.
Ka-ching.
And sometimes the door doesn't open all the way. So it doesn't go all the way to the top.
Okay. Exactly, yes.
Right.
I've heard some of those pitches.
That's exactly right. So because you're on the road all the time, you're speaking to groups all the time, Rob and I said, who better to talk about an elevator pitch? Because you got the pitch down. How did you develop? And when we're in a room, so this is one of the things that was like just so outstanding about your own personal brand, is that you find a way each time to say the same thing but differently.
Ah.
Hey, I picked up on that, right?
Aha!
So how do you do that? Like, do you spend all night working on that, or is it just kind of like...
It's a formula, and I've taught it to hundreds of people over years of leading these networking groups, to the point that even recently there have been guests that came into our networking groups that came up to me and said, okay, I was told to come talk to you because it's obvious from everybody in here when they get to do their pitch that there's a formula here. And I need to learn that formula, because everybody's pitching here sounds so good, so concise, so professional, and then I'm sitting up there just kind of foaming at the mouth. So what is it? And literally, I've taught this system, this formula, to hundreds of professional networkers over the years. And it's a formula I call hook, line, and sinker.
Okay.
And I grew up in a fishing community in North Florida, so there you go, hook, line, and sinker, because we referred that phrase back where I grew up. And the whole premise, if you want to kind of map this out in your brain, or if you want to write this down, if you're watching via video, which obviously you are, because we're the only ones live in the room, so I guess you're watching by video. But the hook, the line, and the sinker, what do I mean by that? Okay, let's actually reverse engineer it. So let's start with the sinker. What I would say is, if this is a weekly networking group, because we both know you got weekly groups, you got monthly groups, you got every other week groups, but I'm going to presume that you're going to a weekly networking group. So you have a theme of the month. Whatever that theme of the month is, because that theme is who you're trying to connect with. Who do you want referrals to in the room?
Okay.
Maybe you were telling them, hey, I'm looking for CPAs. Maybe I'm looking for physicians. Maybe I'm looking for trades professionals. Whoever it is you're looking for, that's your theme of the month, okay? So once you have that for at least 4 weeks, you don't have to give that any more thought. That's your theme of the month. Now, the hook is the very first words that come out of your mouth to hook their interest. Because as a speaker, I'll tell you, you've got about 5 to 8 seconds to capture someone's attention when you're talking to them, no matter what the context, even if it's at a party or an event.
Right.
You got about 5 to 8 seconds
Absolutely.
to capture their attention. So what do you say? You use a hook. I would suggest use a story because facts tell, but stories sell. But you can use a report. You can use a statistic. You can use whatever, something that gets people's attention, immediately engages them because you've only got 30 seconds to a minute in most cases. So whatever the hook is, it's going to tie into your theme of the month.
Okay.
So while your theme is going to remain the same for 4 weeks, your hook is what you change on a weekly basis. So that's the only little tweak that you hear me doing. Now, you say, well, what about that line? The line is your brand. And I know Paul will be up here later on talking about brand, but that's your brand. For me, my name's Jeff McKissack, Defense by Design, where I teach you how to spot trouble before trouble spots you. And then I'll go into my sinker. So the line is the part that never changes. So many people, and we've all heard this, when they get in front of a networking group, the first words out of their mouth are what? My name is so-and-so, and I represent this company. You know what? Nobody cares.
That's right.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Nobody cares. What people want to know in the room is, what is the benefit of me knowing you and listening to what you're saying in the next 30 seconds to 1 minute?
Yeah.
So it is your responsibility to engage them in that
That's
first
right.
with the hook.
That's right.
So let's say that I'm looking for, and I'm literally doing this off the top of my head, even though I'm wearing a hat. I'm doing this off my head, and I'm looking for real estate agents this month because next month is National Realtor Safety Month. So that could be something I would be using.
Right.
I would say, do you know what the biggest fear of most real estate agents are when they do open houses? Is actually someone coming to the house that's not looking for a house. Someone's looking for them. My name's Jeff McKissack, Defense by Design, where I teach you to spot trouble before trouble spots you. That's why I'm looking for real estate agents this month, because next month is National Realtor Safety Month, and they're looking how to spot trouble before that trouble spots them in open houses. Those are the connections I'd appreciate this month. Now, that was less than 30 seconds.
That's
But
right.
you see how it came across, and literally I was ad-libbing that as it was coming across my lips.
That's right.
But that's what we're talking about. It comes across nice and professional. And when you come across, go figure, you come across professionally in a professional networking group, people take you, what's the word I'm looking for?
Seriously.
Seriously.
That's right.
And professionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a lot more likelihood of getting one-on-ones with people in the room when they see that you're short and concise. The people that just blabber over the 30-second or minute, that tells me when I sit down and do a one-on-one with them, who's going to dominate that conversation?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Well, for me, all I can think of is the hook. So, bring out the big old hook when they're just going on.
That
And
hook,
that's
yes.
that hook.
But it's a simple process. It's a super simple formula. So you have a theme of the month that remains for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Then you have that little hook that you change on a weekly basis.
So so make sure it's a story, right?
Or
it's
a statistic, or a report, or a client testimonial, something that captures their interest, that engages them in what you're about to say.
See, the thing I like about this, what Jeff is saying here, is the fact that you've got to prepare for the networking.
Oh my gosh!
And that's why I like to get rid of the word elevator pitch or 30-second commercial, and I'm calling mine my Super Bowl commercial, because if you think about what comes in the production of a Super Bowl commercial, months and months ahead of time, millions of dollars for that 30-second presentation to a worldwide globe. We need to do the same thing in professional networking. I love your formula, and I'm going to start practicing that. But again, it's preparation ahead of time.
Well,
quit winging it, audience. Quit winging it, you know?
Yay and amen, brother.
So.
And to your point, Rob, when people tell me, oh, but I can't say everything I need to do in 30 seconds to a minute, I say, excuse me, to your point, the average television radio spot nowadays is 15 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely.
And these are national companies that somehow manage to magically convey their message effectively in 15 seconds. And you can't tell me you can't do it in 30 seconds to a minute?
Yeah.
Who's got the problem here?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it speaks to preparation. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it does. And what I was going to say is most Super Bowl commercials are 10 seconds, right? And they don't just get up there and hope it happens. This is a really bad plan.
Yeah.
This is a really bad plan. But we're all guilty of it, right? We're exhausted. We quick hop on a Zoom call or jump into a Starbucks or whatever, and we're going to have a cup of coffee, and we're like, oh my gosh, I haven't even thought about what I'm going to say.
Well, and if people say, well, Jeff, I don't have enough vertical markets I really market to in a year to have 12 months of themes. Okay, what are your top 3 or 4? Because you go through a quarter and then you just repeat the quarter next time. Because here's the thing, we all know in most of these rooms, the audience changes week to week, let alone month to month.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and one of the things that I've learned from you too is, and this is kind of my ongoing theme for the year, that's aim small, miss small, right? So really picking, so it makes me crazy. And again, we've all been guilty of it at some point in our life, but let's grow out of this. And that is, who do you want to talk to? Everybody. I can help everybody with everything. I mean, like, well, then you'll get nothing, right? So it's aim small, miss small. So to your point, pick whatever it is that's a great thing that you've helped a client with, and really zero in on that to tell their people, this is how I can help others. Just like that, right? Right.
Yeah.
Or something that's topical, timely, something that just happened. In my case, the whole last pass breach that happened, right? So
you say that, but the one cautionary tale I had there, because for me, a lot of what I speak about, I could be ripping off daily news stories. And there is, believe me, the temptation for me, there's been a shooting, there's been a kidnapping, there's been that would be very easy for me to go, squirrel.
Yeah.
But no, whatever my theme is for that month, I stay on message.
Yeah, that's good.
So you've got to be careful.
Yeah,
of that.
again,
That's part of the strategy.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, those people that produce those Super Bowl commercials and others, something may have come up in the meantime. It's like, bless God and Greyhound, we got this commercial ready to go, and that's the one that's running during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think we've got to change what it is. We've got to change the mindset of people when they come to a networking meeting to give their elevator pitch, because they're coming there and they're feeling nervous, they're not prepared, and they're not thinking that I'm here to tell my audience about what I do, how I can help them, or what I sell, or whatever. And so you've got to change that mindset so that I'm excited to come to that room and share my 30-second pitch to the audience.
So see, Rob, I truly believe the reason that they're nervous is for the lack of preparedness.
Yeah.
If you're prepared, you know the words that's coming out. If you need to rehearse in front of a mirror, rehearse in front of a mirror.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fine. But once you have done that and you've honed this thing down to an actual message, watch how the nerves dissipate.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I think we need a whole workshop on it.
I wonder if
Let's bring them back. Let's bring them back.
That's right. And we go over and over and over again until it's in our belly. Right.
Well, I do work with the Department of Redundancy Department.
Yes, that's right. So I love this. Thank you for sharing that. So we have those 3 things, right? The hook, the line, the sinker, and you can hone that into a 10-second, a 30-second, or a 60-second pretty easily.
Yeah. I would say next time you bring me back, I want to be in a little bit safer place, because as soon as I came in here, I got mugged.
Hold on to your hat, people.
I'm here all week, or at least for the next 10 seconds.
In the building. So, all right. So, Defense by Design. How can people get in touch with you? Because I know that people will want to get in touch with you. What are the best ways?
Honestly, the best way is LinkedIn. I mean, obviously, we're all professionals here, and if you just look up Jeff McKissack, and it's ACK, not ICK. Don't make me sick. It's McKissack, and Jeff, not Goff, Jeff McKissack. Find me on LinkedIn. We'll connect there.
All right, awesome. And he's open for speaking engagements.
Half mouth will talk.
That's right. And travel. So before we dismiss, little known fact
about you. Are you being dismissive about me?
I am. Wow. Almost. But before we do this, before we hit the ejector button, I'm going to ask you a little known fact about yourself. I'm really interested in this since I've known you for a while.
Well, it depends on if you follow me on Facebook, because if you do, you'll know I have 3 things I post on Facebook. And that's what I'm telling you. Don't bother going to Facebook. Okay. I have pets, puns, and UFOs. But that's something a lot of people don't know about. And I've actually now started recently speaking to professional groups who are asking me to come in to talk about a program I have now called UFOs, the Military and the Media. That looks up the 75 historical context of why are we seeing what we're seeing in the skies today.
So
you didn't know that, did you?
That's right. So this has been so fun. We're going to hit the ejector button, unfortunately. Then you get to sit and hear us talk about you. So that's going to be extra.
Lisa's in front of my back.
That's right. That's right. So we'll be right back. Boy, it's a lot to unpack in a very short time.
Wow.
I know. Are you exhausted? I'm exhausted.
Man, well, I mean, I really enjoyed Jeff's viewpoint on the elevator pitch, even though I hate that term elevator pitch. And please get rid of it out of your vocabulary. And
Are we going to have to rename the episode?
We need to call it the Super Bowl commercial, Sheryl. Okay. I mean, we got to go with that. But you know what I got, tell me first of all what you got. Main point from Jeff.
I get to go first. So for me, it was I don't know that I've ever heard Jeff, if he said it, I just dismissed it. But I don't know that I ever really thought about a monthly topic. Mm-hmm. Right. And I personally don't go to weekly programs, right? So I don't go to anything weekly. Maybe that's why. But I really do like the idea, though, of having a consistent topic that's monthly, because even though I go to once a month networking groups, still a lot of those people are circulated through the same groups, right? So at least you're building a frequency, but you're changing up the cadence or the receptors just a little bit with the verbiage, right? So the story changes a little, but the theme remains the same.
Right.
So I love that, and I think that's why he really has built such a big referral network.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's good marketing from the fact that you've got to kind of repeat.
Yeah.
So people understand it, because how many times when you do meet people at a networking event, a month later they ask you, now what do you do? I get that happen all the time. So obviously I need more practice on my elevator pitch here, but I like what Jeff said about that getting that theme for the month and then, repeating it. So yeah, very helpful.
Yeah. So that was yours too?
Yeah.
You might steal your thunder?
Yeah, you stole my thunder.
So I think about when I was taking French and I was listening, this was cassette tape time, right? So, and at the beginning of every French episode, they would say, écoutez à répéter. Listen and repeat.
Yeah.
And so it is that frequency, and I forget that, and honestly I hate the whole little pitch thing. I just hate it. But we can make it more fun by strategically planning in advance a good theme, keeping it fresh with stories, and then having the same call to action.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much importance in this 30-second pitch, and why we don't practice it, hour after hour. Be prepared, like Jeff said. We've got to schedule it, time block it out. This is we're doing this Super Bowl commercial.
That's right.
And we want to reach our audience in a positive way, so it'll be impactful, so they'll want to do business with us.
Yeah, and as we wrap on this, I just want to say that if you want to say, I can sell everything to everybody, don't. Stop it, please. And take Jeff's lead on this and really find something that you do and gravitate toward that, because it's not forever, but it's at least for that month, right? The one thing, that gravitational pull, will then provide much more opportunity for people to gravitate to you.
And remember, hook, line, and sinker. That's a great formula. Great formula. I'm going to write that thing down and practice. Start practicing.
That's exactly right. And I might have to jump on Facebook to look up the UFO stuff too. So that's very interesting. Very interesting.
That was great.
Well, can't wait to have Jeff back. And you know that you can be on the lookout for some kind of elevator pitch, Super Bowl commercial workshop coming soon, right?
A small business is still a business. At Purple Cow Branding, we want to help you execute your greatest visions for your company. Purple Cow works for small businesses that don't have big budgets to spend on their marketing efforts. Inquire now at purplecowbranding.com to be the biggest little guy around. Purple Cow Branding, much more than digital marketing.
All right, welcome back. Man. He just always is so thought-provoking.
Well, he's such a fabulous speaker. He's been on the big stage, right? And he knows how to communicate so well.
Yeah, and he has an organized thought process, but I'm going to venture to guess that was a learned process, that we all could learn to have a more organized thought process. Maybe we're never going to be Jeff McKissack with all his puns. But
he is so funny.
I know. And they just keep coming. That's right.
He doesn't stop.
No, but we can learn that whole thought process of organizing those thoughts and thinking about, this is what I kind of boiled it down to as I kept ruminating on what he talked about. We have to think about who we're talking to, why we're talking to them, and what would be important to them, right? So that it makes the most sense when we have a 10 or 15 or 30-second elevator pitch. So who, why, and what. And if we can really focus on that instead of me,
Right.
like the narcissistic point that Chris O'Leary made, then I think it's a lot more readily received by the recipient.
Well, it goes back to that storytelling theme that we've talked about before. Is you've got to engage your audience in the right way where you make them a part of the story.
Yeah. What is before we get to, because you really have a nice list here of why we need an elevator pitch. But before we jump into this, when you're in a networking group and people are going around the room, what is a big turnoff for you when you hear people give their little elevator pitch?
Well,
or if you're in an elevator, or if you're in a room, whatever that is.
Well,
right?
in a networking meeting, to me, the most common mistake is the fact that people aren't prepared and they just stutter, and they don't have any main theme there. You really, by the time they finish it, you don't know really what they do, and so they were caught flat-footed. The second example is a guy that's just trying to sell.
Yeah.
Sell hard.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. For me, because this was very evident at a group I was at this week. I won't say which one because I don't want anybody to feel bad, but because I've done it too. But they weren't prepared, probably, or they just don't know how to communicate properly and they mumble.
Yeah.
Oh my, well, what's the point? If I can't hear you clearly say why you're here, right? Why you're talking to me about what I need to listen to, what it is that you're trying to communicate and who you are. It just it's like you're just filling up space and then trying to move on quickly. Like you're embarrassed or something. I don't know what it is. It's just.
Well, and that reminds me, Sheryl, it's like another factor was people are boring. And so I'm kind of going, these guys are trying to impress me, right?
Yeah.
They're boring, so why would I want to do business with them? Why would I want to refer my customers, my prospects to them?
That's a great point.
If they're not kind of coming and not being prepared, not being creative about what they do, they don't really care about their elevator pitch. Why are they going to care about my client? So really, it's that lack of preparedness, being boring, non-creative. It's like, well, next.
Yeah. That's exactly right. We may not hit the mark every single time, but we should try.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
We should absolutely make an effort. All right, so let's dive into this. Why you need an elevator pitch. I'm going to let you take this on because you're so great at making these lists.
Well, to me, I think the number one thing on the elevator pitch side is you want to stand out. You want to be creative. You want to create that good first impression. Why people want to be a part of your community. Mm-hmm. If I can't bring value through my elevator pitch, what am I going to do for you in your business? How am I going to help you out? Yeah. So I think to me, that's the number one goal when I practice my elevator pitch, to maybe change it up every once in a while, to, like you said earlier, to your audience. But it's by being creative, I'm showing people that I'm going to be someone bring value to whatever they're trying to do in their business.
Right. Absolutely. Because it's all about them at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there is no us. So next on your list.
Well, the whole thing is, doing that model of, why you should do an elevator pitch. It's to find out and let people know that you can solve their problem, because that's what they're here to listening. How can this guy help me? So I've got to figure out what their problem is and then let them know that I can come up with a solution for them.
That's right. And Jeff mentioned this, being singularly focused, right? Find a solution, and you're not going to be able to hit everybody, but thinking about the bulk of your audience. So if they happen to be maybe franchisees, I'll just make that up. Maybe 50% of the group are franchisees or small business owners, or maybe a lot of them are contract workers, or whatever that is, right? Whatever the industry. So gear it toward that really defined focus so that you can activate those people and then worry about the rest on another month.
Yeah, I like how you said that, because again, by defining, you're not going to water it down. But by watering it down, then no one really knows what you do in the long run. But when you focus, like you said, then you're going to pick those people in the audience that will come up to you afterwards.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
Because we talk about this a lot. My big beef is, and I've done it. So I can do all things for all people at all times.
Right.
There we go. Call me. 24 hours powers. So
yeah, I mean, it's the whole quote is, less is more.
Yeah.
And the more and more as I attend these networking meetings, I'm seeing that so more. I want to focus on who my audience is.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely right. So another thing on the elevator pitch, and I don't know that it's here on your list, but I like that you recommend a template. I think that's good because that helps people get organized, and you're really good at that. Are we going to put that up on the resources tab?
We are. That will appear on the resources.
I love it. Okay, so be on the lookout. Another thing is when people aren't prepared, but they feel the need to try to stand out by just being boisterous, right? That just annoys me. Does it annoy you?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
they're loud without really saying anything meaningful.
Right. No, exactly. And, and a point I want to bring up, too, is, and that's something that I've really learned this from mid-market professionals, is how you give us only 10 seconds to give our commercial, right? And at first I thought, well, how can I do that? But I've really loved the exercise because now I'm practicing. I'm being prepared. I'm using a template on that. And it's amazing. That 10 seconds is a pretty long period of time. And so it helps you focus. And I think that's so important for everybody out there is to have that 10-second line down because you can have the opportunity to say it so many times where you've only got that short bit.
Yeah, and when you are intentional, that short bit is a lot of room.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you are intentional. All right. Anything else on this list you want to hit?
I think it's the last thing I think I would think is be prepared in your pitch is to be able to drop a hook. So leave a hook there so that you've got people thinking about that after you've finished.
Yeah.
And that gives them the opportunity to write your name down, say, I got to talk to that guy. But without a hook, then you're just like everybody else. So you want to stand out. And I think that's one of the best ways to leave that lasting impression is have a really good hook at the end.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm looking forward to the resource that you're going to put on the resource tab. So our action items. Three action items.
3 action items. Again, I think everybody, I'm going to encourage everyone to have 3 pitches ready, right in their back pocket. The 10-second, the 30-second, the around 2 minutes or a little bit less.
Okay. And we're going to, interesting that you would say that because in our next segment, we're going to talk about what you can do in those extended periods of time and taking a lifetime story and boiling it down.
Ah, yes.
Right? So, because this all works together, right? You take the little nugget, but you can also build a house with all these little nuggets.
Right, absolutely.
And then build a bigger house when you need to.
Yeah.
But really providing a good foundation. All right, what else?
Well, I think that, again, don't be boring. Get creative here. You've got to, spend some time. Stop winging it. Get creative. Write it down and memorize it. So
yeah. Well, I'm going to give you one here. Is number 3 blank?
Yeah. That's for you.
Oh, that's for me. Okay, good. So good because I have one. I was going to say, okay, it's number 4, but it's number 3 since you didn't have one. So I say when you got to have an elevator pitch. Also, I'm going to talk about the physical posture. Stand up. Get your shoulders back and get that diaphragm down.
Right.
So that you can project to the back side of the room. Again, because when people are mumbling or it's just a big room, you've got to be able to really speak clearly enough so that everybody can hear what you're saying and at least know your name and why they need to know you. So, but when they're mumbling or they're kind of like I call it a mumble mouth. I don't have a mumble mouth, but you've got to be able to project clearly, and that gives you the air of confidence, even if you're not confident.
Yeah, and then another point too is how often when you're at a networking meeting, you see people give that commercial and they're sitting down.
Yeah.
Stand up, everybody.
Yeah.
Stand up so you can do what Sheryl's saying is projecting. They're not going to be able to hear you.
Yeah, and project to the back of the room.
Yes.
Right. So that's a whole workshop that I wanted to have.
Yeah.
Just how we project in a room and what our level of volume needs to be. That's normal. So those are our 3 action items.
Yes.
Right. So have those things right in your pocket. Make sure you get creative and write it down.
Yeah.
And then we have good posture while we're delivering.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I was going to say my word of the week. I kind of forget to do my word of the week sometimes, but this is kind of a word of the week that like we don't want to do, like rhetoric. So that was my word of the week. I'm like, I just kept thinking about the whole elevator pitch is just a bunch of rhetoric sometimes, and really keeping it fresh and being creative is so key. So my word of the week is really kind of the anti-word of the week. I don't have a bunch of rhetoric. Oh my goodness gracious. So coming up next week, got a really great guest.
Yes.
And in the meantime, we want to hear from you. So info@networktodaydfw.com. You see that down here. The reason this is important is because we want to know what topics you want to hear on. We want to know if there's a good networking story that we need to know. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to tell you, my phone died this week.
Right.
But I have footage of 3 great people that I met at networking events that gave amazing testimonials. So I'm hoping, please let me be able to pull that out, right? Because I want to share that with you. Because these are the things, it's the real life stories that we want to hear about.
Oh, that's great.
Why networking's important,
Right.
and not necessarily about the show, but like why networking is important and how it's worked for you. Okay.
Cool.
So lots of great. Sign up for the email list because lots of great stuff there. Rob's Library.
Yes.
You got.
I'm going to feature, let me just showcase the new elevator pitch here. It's in Rob's Library, so please, you're always welcome. The door is always open for you. Come by. We've got some great, over 730 books.
Yeah, because the reason people ask me, so why do I need to subscribe to the email through the Network Today website? And the reason is because you're going to get an email link each week with the Rob's Library and my tech tips, right? So these are tools that are techie, and I want you to explore, and I want you to tell me what you think about them.
And they're great because I went and did some research on one of the ones that you recommended a while back. So I'm excited to share the results with you maybe next week.
So you're going to be a consumer testimonial
yourself?
All right, wonderful. Well, I'm so glad to see you. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers. All right, have a great week.
This has been a Purple Cow production.